When you log on to Pokemon TCG Live for the first time, you'll get every card on the screen for free. That's right, this Dialga VSTAR list will be given to you for free, and that's fantastic because Dialga VSTAR, as a 280 HP Metal-type VSTAR Pokemon, is very, very strong. Its first attack, Metal Burst, deals 40 damage for a single energy. That's not that great, but when you consider the fact that it deals 40 more damage for every metal energy attached, you can see that this attack's going to be dealing lots of damage very, very quickly. Also, V-Star Power, Star Chronos, deals 220 damage, knocking out almost every basic V in the game, and for 5 energy, it doesn't just take those KOs, it also lets you take another turn. That means that if you're able to power this Pokemon up, you'll be able to take 2 turns in a row and potentially take 4 prizes before your opponent can even respond. Luckily, we've got a fantastic way to power this V-Star up, thanks to Magnezone and Giga Magnet. Giga Magnet lets you look at the top 6 cards of your deck, find any metal energy that you find there, and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. If you find 5 or 6 metal energy in the top 6 cards of your deck, you can attach them straight to your Dialga V-Star and start using that V-Star power as early as turn 2. Now, this deck list, as it stands, is very good, but I think we can make some big changes to turn this list into a hyper-consistent deck that can win you games on the standard ladder. And the best part is, it's going to be relatively cheap. Most of the cards that I'm going to add are going to be absolutely free. This deck that's on the screen right now is going to be very, very good and very capable of getting you to the top tiers of the standard ladder, and it's only going to cost you about 4,000 to 6,000 credits, depending on what cards you already have on your Pokemon TCG Live account. We've obviously got our Dialga and our Magnezone here, but you'll notice that lots of the other Pokemon that we have are new. We're going to focus in on Miraidon EX, which we get given for free on the current Battle Pass, and we're going to mainly be focusing on its Tandem Unit ability. Tandem Unit, obviously allowing us to find basic lightning energy and put them onto our bench, opens up some flexibility and gives us the chance to find Magnemites a little early. That's why we've swapped from the metal Magnemites to the electric Magnemites in this version of the deck. We've also added in 1 copy of Rotom V. This card can be very, very useful thanks to its ability, which allows us to draw 3 cards at the end of our turn and then end our turn. That might not seem like that big of a deal, but when you're looking for cards like Rare Candy in the very early turns, then Rotom can be extra critical. We're also adding in a copy of Radiant Jirachi as a potential way to take some knockouts, but more importantly, if we place this card in the active, we lose a prize and can search out any 2 cards from our deck that we want. That means that we can find cards like Rare Candy or Magnezone, or maybe even Dialga V-Star to help us start attacking. Last but certainly not least, we also have 3 copies of Adaman in this list. It's a very, very strong supporter considering the fact that we'll be playing a ton of metal energy. Adaman lets us discard 2 metal energy from our hand to search our deck for any 2 cards we like. Again, cards like Rare Candy, Ultra Ball, these could be very, very important to get our Dialga V-Star into play as soon as possible. Like I said, this deck will cost you around about 4,000 to 6,000 credits to pick this one up and get playing with it, and I can tell you right now, you'll probably go quite a long way with this one. It's pretty good. Let's get started and see if we can't get a game with Dialga, and I tell you what, if I can't win this one, then I don't think that this deck is worth playing. We have got an insane start here. Radiant Jirachi in the active, plus all of the cards that we need to set up a board on the first turn in our hand. We've got Dialga on the bench, we've got 2 Magnemite, and the Nest Ball we can use to find Rotom and draw cards. We don't even need to use Miraidon EX to set this up, but you can imagine we don't have the Magnemites, that Nest Ball becomes Miraidon, we can get ourselves those Magnemites and get started with our engine. Now, it looks like we're up against Lost Box, and Lost Box Giratina at that could potentially be quite difficult, so we'll see whether or not we can get this Dialga powered up early. I think we're going to be lucky in the sense that it does take Lost Box decks a little while to get going, and if they do choose to take a knockout on the Radiant Jirachi in the active with something like Cramorant, maybe they get a couple of extra cards into the Lost Zone, then we can definitely see some really significant gains here. Knocking out this Jirachi would mean that we'd be able to find 2 cards of our choice, and right now with Magnezone in hand and a Dialga on the bench, I'm thinking that a Dialga V-Star and a Rare Candy would go very, very nicely. Now it looks like they're going for the Battle VIP Pass. They're going to grab a couple of cards. They've got Comfey, they've got Greninja, they've got Cramorant, they've got all the things that they need to start setting them up, but they don't have any way to start attacking with that Giratina this turn. So, if we get a little bit lucky, we could potentially try and find that Rare Candy and get into our Magnezone as early as turn 2. Now, one of the good things about this deck is once you are set up, the game plays itself, right? You know pretty much the only things that you need to do are find energies. And this deck is all energies. And I'm sitting here being... honestly, I don't know what to do because we've got pretty much all the things that we need in our hand. I'm going to get rid of Serena and 2 energies here. We're just going to draw a couple of cards, see what we can find. We don't get what we want, but that's alright. Next turn, we have Adaman, which is great. I am going to attach to the Radiant Jirachi in the active. If they don't knock it out next turn, then we can start flipping coins. And look at that. Adaman plus 2 basic metal energies means next turn we can search for any cards that we like and potentially get ourselves a Dialga in play. Now, we've been a little slow here. We've lost a couple of resources, but that's alright. We're in a good spot. And our opponent, more importantly, has gone quite slowly. So we're looking pretty good. They're going for a Colress. That means they've got 4 cards in the lost zone. Now they can attack with Cramorant if they'd like. And if they do take a knockout with the Cram, the Radiant Jirachi in the active, its Entrusted Wishes ability will activate, and we'll be able to find any cards from our deck that we want. Any 2. And that gives us 2 Magnezones next turn. That would be incredible. Looks like they're going for a Mirage Gate. We might even see the knockout. So let's see. What do they find? Psychic Energy onto the Giratina on the active, and a Shred takes the KO. So, now our Entrusted Wishes activates, and we get to search in our deck for any cards we like. Sorry, it's 3 cards, not 2. Oh my goodness, it's incredible. We're going to get the Dialga, we're going to get the double Rare Candy. Now, I'm sitting here telling you it's 2 cards, but it's 3. My apologies. And now, look at this. This is the game. This is how this deck is designed to work. We are going to try and take a knockout on this Giratina with Dialga this turn. Plus, we've got the Nest Ball to get another Dialga onto the bench. Let's double Rare Candy these Magnezones into play, and we can start using Giga Magnet in just a moment to try and get as many energies onto this Dialga as possible. We're looking for a minimum of 4, because we can attach 1 from hand, and we get 4 off of the first Giga Magnet, which means that we are set and ready to use our VSTAR power. All we need to do now is attach from hand and evolve, and in fact we could choose to use our second Giga Magnet on our other Dialga if we want to, because we know our opponent doesn't have a huge amount going for them. There's another 3 energies, so we're going to stack those down there on the Dialga on the bench. We can then evolve in the active, get ourselves a Star Chronos attack, and take 2 prizes, and then another turn. How good is that? It's a super simple combo. All the cards in our deck are designed to help us find the bits that we need. And look at that. There's another Rare Candy and Magnezone. We had all those cards in hand with 2 of them in the prizes. So, let's see what we can do. We've got Adaman if we want it. We've just got more Magnezones if we want it as well. I'm thinking that Boss's Orders onto the Comfey is a pretty good choice. It's going to slow them down. I like the idea of trying to Giga Magnet and get some more cards. Our opponent not particularly happy with our choice there. They're a little bit upset. We're going to put some energies onto our Magnezones as well. We're up against Lost Box, so it's a single prize deck. Maybe we attack with them at some point, but Metal Blast will take the knockout, and I forgot, Comfey's weak to metal, so that's a huge amount of damage for a poor little Comfey, and now we are 3 prizes away from winning this game. And our opponent's only really taken 1 or 2 turns, right? Like, they haven't had a chance to do anything. And we've just sat here and set ourselves up. So we'll see whether our opponent can do anything here. A Roxanne is quite frightening. There's not a lot that I can do with a Roxanne. But you know what? I'll be able to Giga Magnet all of my energy out of my deck. I'll be able to draw as many cards as I can thanks to Rotom. I'll be able to take as many knockouts as I want to because Metal Blast is such a powerful attack. So we are looking very strong. We'll just make sure that we don't, give up 5 prize cards. I don't think that it's likely. Like, our opponent isn't in a position to try and do anything here. They're just going to spit innocently, and that's a 3 hit on our Dialga. So I think we are looking pretty good, and an Irida off the top deck there means that we can search for a Lumineon for next turn and an Ultra Ball, potentially give ourselves another Dialga if we want one. You know what? I think we're just going to Metal Blast here. 240 damage for 5 energy is a very solid hit. And that means that we can potentially take the game next turn on another Giratina if it comes into the active. And it looks like that's what our opponent will be doing. And you think about it this way, the Dialga VSTAR that's just come into our hand off of the prizes, we can get that onto the field thanks to the benched Origin form Dialga. We can potentially use Lumineon to find a supporter if we need to, or we can just Giga Magnet twice and deal a huge amount of damage thanks to Metal Blast on our bench. It looks like our opponent's just going to take the knockout here with their Giratina. And to be brutally honest, I think if they just take the KO, there's nothing much more that they can realistically do. There's no way for them to win this game. We need to attach 2 energies to deal 280 damage, and I think we're going to be more than capable of doing that. So we're going to promote our Dialga here. We've got the VSTAR in hand. Let's just throw the Giga Magnet down. In fact, we could potentially just we could Lumineon and do a whole bunch of stuff here. What we should do is we should just use the cards that are available to us to guarantee that it happens, right? Let's Ultra Ball away the Adaman and the VIP Battle Pass, and we'll just take a look here. We're just going to look through the deck. Do we have an Irida? We do. We don't have an energy acceleration option, so that's a little bit disappointing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the Dialga here. We can also go for the Lumineon. That Lumineon's Luminous Sign ability can search out any supporter we like. We'll go for the Irida because it'll help us thin out our deck. We can play that Irida, then grab ourselves like a Nest Ball or something. We can use that Nest Ball to thin another card out of the deck if we want. It doesn't realistically matter for us because if we don't take this knockout right here, right now, I think we lose the game. We've committed to it. There's the energies thanks to Giga Magnet. We can attach those to the active, and that means now with our Metal Blast attack, we're going to be dealing more than enough to be able to take this knockout. 360 damage with our Dialga into the Giratina, and those are our last 2 prizes to win the game. So you can see this deck super strong and super cheap for you to pick up for free on Pokemon TCG Live. Thank you very much everyone for coming along. If you've enjoyed the video, subscribe, do that kind of stuff. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.